All right, guys. So I know a lot of you probably are looking at this saying, "Oh, that's the way I want to do it," and I'm testing it out to see. I mean, we've seen some people do this and with bungee cords strapped over and all. I'm trying to get away from all that extra work. I mean, this way I can still access this. It only takes a minute to do that. These are $6 at Walmart. They're a 10-pack. They're a canopy tie set. They got 10 of them in there. I just pull the corners taut, then I pull the center taut, and then I twist it. And once I get it twisted nice and tight, I wrap this around 3 times, and it's good. I mean, why make more work out of it than what it needs to be? As long as I can access it and it gets watered, that's all that matters. Sometimes I wonder why people work twice as hard and not really think things through to try to figure out an easier way of going about doing this. And I'm happy with it. It works for me. It may not work for some of you. Some of you might like to do it a different way. Then be my guest, do it a different way. This is just an idea I had that I was doing that I thought would work out well for us. It's taunt. It'll keep the bugs. I mean, the biggest thing you got to worry about is the moths and the butterflies, because they'll come and they'll lay stuff on top of your cabbage plants and underneath your leaves. Now, I did put down Tymaceous earth, so if anything decides going to walk across it, done. And I've watered it really well last night before I left the garden. And they might be a little close, but you know what? It's just me, and I'm not doing this to take and resell it. It's just for me, my wife, my mom, and my dad. I mean, we love cabbage, and I plan on, planting more eventually. But right now, this is a trial run. Let's see how it does. Last year, we got some cabbage, and I didn't do any of this. And we still got cabbage. So this year, I'm going to do it. I haven't seen a lot of butterflies, so I think I nipped this in the butt just before they start coming out. I trial and error and test and see if it works. And if it doesn't work that year, then I know I need to figure out a different way of doing it. There's a lot of people on YouTube that are going to do this and do that and do this, and that's all fine for them. I'm doing it the way I like to do it. This is simple. It's easy. It doesn't have to be super tight. It doesn't have to be. There's no law that says it has to be super tight. It ain't going to impede my plants. It's not going to bother my plants any. The only thing I suggest is don't be cheap with this stuff. Do not be cheap with this stuff. Now and why don't they roll it up? That aggravates me. Why don't you roll it up so you can unroll it to where you need it? No, they fold and do all this packaging. Just roll it up. Now what I'll end up doing, and this is what I hate, what I'll end up doing is I'll end up taking that. I'll end up getting a contractor trash bag, and I'll end up putting it all in a contractor trash bag. And when I need it again, I'll pull it out and use it. But that's stupid to fold it up like that. I mean, not everybody's going to use 100 feet of this stuff. But I will say, this stuff is a lot like screen for your screen doors. It is heavy duty. So it's better than the last stuff we bought our first year here. The stuff we bought our first year here was like paper. I mean, I could tear it with my hands. This stuff, no. This stuff's made pretty good. I like it. I just don't like the way it's packaged. That's my complaint about it. It's the packaging. Roll it up so you can unroll it, cut what you need. It's 6 foot wide. It's 100 foot long. So if you need a 12-foot piece, you cut a 12-foot piece. You measure it out, cut it with a pair of scissors. And these scissors I got, let me tell you, these are my garden scissors. These are the only things these are used for is scissors. They aren't used for anything else. I don't use them for metal, which they will cut metal. I don't use them for half of the stuff that they say they're for. I use these strictly for scissors. Now, I spent $28 on these, but I went and I looked at scissors from, from Michael's, I guess is what it's called, or Hobby Lobby, and looked for a pair of scissors there that I could use, industrial scissors. I'm not paying $60 for a pair of scissors. I bought these and I can cut metal with them. So why would I pay $60 for a pair of scissors? So you're going to go to Tractor Supply, get yourself a pair of these. They're called Wiss, Crescent Wiss, Wiss. They got a locking mechanism here. You unlock it, boom, ready to go. They're spring, really heavy duty spring loaded inside, as you can see. They are not paying me to advertise for their product or anything. This is just what I was looking for, and I found something really, really good. It cuts this stuff like butter, so I can only imagine what else it would cut. Sometimes you have to think about, what you're buying and test the product. I have tested a lot of pruners out, and I'll tell you what, there's some junk pruners out there. I think it's called Frisky is the pruners that I've got now. I've got 2 pairs, and they've held up pretty good. All the other ones, I bought the ones, no offense, from Walmart. They were junk. They were complete junk. They didn't last a year, and they were broke. So, you get what you pay for. That's all it is. And I found out the Frisky one that I got, those 2 do really, really well. And I got 2 sets. I got one for pruning in the garden and one for my fruit trees. Every time I'm done pruning my fruit trees or doing something on my fruit trees, what I do is I take them, I wipe them off with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and I put them up. I don't touch them. I don't use them for anything else, because you can get a fungus in your garden that you don't know about on your cutters that you take over to your fruit tree, and now you've given it to your fruit tree. Don't do that. Every time you use a pair of these, if you're using them in the garden to cut stuff like, sage down, or you're cutting your stems off for your watermelons and that, when you're done, it takes 5 seconds to wipe it down with alcohol and hang it up. And trust me, you're going to have a lot less problems that way. So, well, you got to see a little bit of me covering the rows, get my cabbage. I got cabbage, cauliflower, and cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli planted in those beds. The first bed over there, is broccoli. This bed is cabbage, and that bed behind me that you saw me doing, that was cauliflower. So we'll see how it comes out. I don't get distraught on vegetables too much. If it's tomatoes, I get strung out, because my tomatoes are my thing. But most of this stuff, if it comes in, it comes in. If it don't, well, there's always next year trials and tribulations, and you'll know by doing what I do what works for you and what don't. I mean, there's been a lot of things I have tried that haven't worked, but at least I tried them. It doesn't hurt to try. Taking 1 step forward might take you 2 steps back, but eventually when you get it, you never have to do it again. And that's why I do what we do. All this stuff in my garden is stuff that I've learned over the years. And I'll tell you what, I learned some gardening from my mom, and that was about all I learned. Most of this stuff that I've learned now, I've learned over the years of being out here on the farm, starting out, knowing a little bit about gardening, and then amping up as I go along. Now, this is my 5th year, and I'll tell you what, I've learned not to put mulch down here for your beds, for your bottom beds. That's a waste. It doesn't do nothing for the environment, and you still get weeds. I put weed barrier down all through this last year, year before last, 2 years ago. And the grass is just growing up. The weeds are just growing up. So what I decided to do, keep it natural. So I left the mulch down. I threw seed down. I threw some hay down from the beds that I pull off the beds when I start mending the beds. Throw it down on the ground, throw some seed on it. Just let it grow in naturally. I'll come in here with a mower, do a couple passes, no big deal. Not a lot of work. Get my weed eater, weed it around the beds. Simple. But I'm putting a grass base down. So, I'm giving back. CO2 is being drawn in, and then we cut it, a little bit goes out. But I'm drawing all that CO2 in. Regenerative soil. Tilling's not a good thing. I only go down about 4 inches on all my beds. And if I add, and I still go down 4 inches. Now, my tomato beds are new, so I will do average of 6 to 8 inches on my tomato beds. And that's just to get them broken up and started. I'll be working on that probably tomorrow, trying to get those beds. I got to make some stern decisions how I want to do the beds for the garden. If I want to do it a 6-inch raised bed, or if I decide I want to do it just old school, right from the ground up. And, that's where I'm at. My dilemma's at right now. So I've got to decide what I do. I've already put the dirt in for the beds. The thing I don't like about it is that it's pressure treated. And I don't feel safe with some of that stuff, you don't know what they've done to that wood. You don't know what chemicals they put in and what's going to leach out into your vegetables. I'm going to do some research tonight and figure out. And tonight will be the deciding factor if I rip up all the beds I just built or I leave them down and I plant. Now, if I rip up the beds I built, I got another project for that. So it'll be used. Definitely won't be wasted. Kind of wish I would have thought this out before, but again, my ADD gets the best of me, and it is what it is. So at that point, guys, we got the road covers on. We're ready to go, rocking it out. You got to see a tool that I use. You got to hear about how well it cuts, and I'm telling you, this thing cuts like butter. And with that said, God bless you all. Until next time, I'll see you in the garden.